Kitco News special coverage of the 31st Global Metals and Mining Conference is brought to you by Gold Terra.
Hello and welcome to Kitco News with me, Paul Harris. We're at the BMO Metals and Mining event in Florida in the United States. Today we're talking gold in Mexico, and I'm joined by Jody Kuzenko, President and CEO of Torex Gold. Good morning, Jody.
Good morning, Paul. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Torex Gold, you've got gold production in Guerrero, in Mexico. You've also got a very exciting sort of project development. You've got a feasibility underway. Tell us a little bit about what's happening.
Yeah, we have an excellent asset in Guerrero, Mexico. Today it consists of 2 open pits, an underground deposit, and a 13,000 ton a day processing plant on the north side of the Balsas River. We're doing great there. I mean, this last year we just put out our 2021 results. We did 468,000 ounces last year, the very high end of guidance. We had a beat on total cash costs, a meet on AISC, and really demonstrated the cash generating capability of that asset. Our AISC margins were almost 50%. Our adjusted EBITDA was over $490 million. And our balance sheet just couldn't be better. The whole strategy heading into Media Luna was to really cash up. At the end of the year, we had $250 million in net cash, no debt, $150 million in an undrawn credit facility, and so on $400 million of available liquidity, and really have good designs on what we're going to do with that money in the future at the Morelos asset.
Okay, and you, as I mentioned, you're putting together a feasibility on the sort of Media Luna part of that. What's the sort of the plan and the timeline there? What will Media Luna mean for Torex Gold?
Media Luna is the future of Torex Gold. We just put out an updated resource on Monday of this week. Shows 25 million tons in indicated, 4.4 million ounces, nice indicated growth, great conversion. And right behind that, we know there's more. We think the south side of the Balsas River is highly prospective. That's why we're making the investment in a 7-kilometer long Guajes tunnel to get there. We're tunneling under the Balsas River, coming up to the bottom of the deposit. And while it's capital intensive, for us, it's strategic. It gets us the ability to move men, materials, or waste equipment through that tunnel very efficiently. And so we're moving from an operation that was pit and underground centric on the north side of the river. We're going to be bringing Media Luna online in 2024. And our ELG underground on the north side of the river has been a great little asset for us, Paul. That's produced about 100,000 ounces a year for the last 3 years, about 7 gram a ton, really nice sweetener to grade. We've had nice reserve growth there. Last year, we were at over 400,000 ounces there in reserve. We continue to add to that net of depletion. And so the forward look for Torex is 2 years of capital intensity as we build out Media Luna. Then we will return to positive cash flow with ELG underground, Media Luna online on the south side of the river. And we also have over 4.5 million tons on stockpile at 1.3 gram a ton. And so something to feather in over top of that so we keep that mill full. That's the ticket to generating cash, is to sweat those assets.
Absolutely. So with the feasibility coming out soon, I guess you can't really talk about what the CapEx is going to be, but you've already got, as you mentioned, $250 million in cash, $150 million revolving credit line, so $400 million in liquidity to contribute towards building that. What are you thinking for the remainder of the money you might need?
Yeah, we're actually thinking about financing now and making some plans and narrowing in on options. We will take on some debt through the build, probably through the back half of this year. We're considering things like a usual term loan, a gold prepay, or maybe something high yield. We won't issue equity. And so we're thinking about something in the range of $200 to $300 million, not only to fund Media Luna, but to also back our exploration program, which has grown over the course of the last couple of years. We think we are sitting on one of the most highly prospective regions in the Guerrero Gold Belt. So we're going to back the drill bit and start to grow out those reserves and resources. And from a financing perspective, additionally, we've taken advantage of the recent pop in gold price here, placed a small hedge, 25% of our production through Q4 of 2022 and into 2023 at a flat forward of over $1,900 gold. So it feels like a can't lose hedge. just protecting that downside as we move into a capital-intensive period.
Well, $1,900 per ounce and none too shabby.
Not too bad, right?
Okay, so going forward, I mean, we're at the BMO Metals and Mining event, so a lot of investors here. What reception do you get from the investor community? You're at the moment, let's say, a single asset producer in Mexico, really good margins, generating cash flow. Is that starting to resonate with the investor community?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've developed a reputation, Paul, of being a company who has a good strategy. It is crystal clear. We make a plan, we pin the plan, then we make a new plan, and we pin that plan. And so we're developing a reputation that we will do and deliver on our commitments to the street and what we say we're going to do. Now, today, we trade at a discount to our immediate peer group at about half NAV. And we know that being a single asset in a complex geopolitical jurisdiction of the world is an overhang on our stock. And we know that having a short reserve life with the open pits also. We're curing up the one by adding up the Media Luna resource. We will bring that project online over the next 2 years. And concurrently, we are looking at diversification away from Guerrero, maybe into other areas of Mexico, maybe into the US or Canada. We are actively looking for M&A. And I think that there will be consolidation at this mid-tier level in the space. To be really relevant, you have to be in the million ounce range as a producer. And so we have ambitions for growth. We want to participate in that.
And to get there, are you looking more for another development project or something that's already producing?
It depends when we get a lock on the deal, right? I have a big development project ahead of me.
Yeah.
So to add another one right now, I feel like might put that one at risk. We're a small team, low G&A, and so I want to make sure the team stays focused on that. So if we were to transact in the near future, I would look for a producing asset that has good cash flow, good margins, similar thinking to us on ESG, maybe in a safer jurisdiction. That would be a sensible marry-up. And if and as we transact a little bit later on, once Media Luna is further down the path, I'd be happy to take on another development stage project, bring it over the line, and then enjoy the benefits of that as a combined company down the road.
Well, thank you, Jody. Let's talk a bit more about ESG now. It's been one of the sort of the three main themes here at the BMO Metals and Mining event. You've been sort of chipping away at that over the years. Perhaps not a good expression there, but you're building a solar plant, renewable energy, obviously a key part of that. You completed the World Gold Council's Year 1 responsible mining principles. So really looking to adopt and adapt best practice by the sounds of things. How's that going, and what's the bigger vision there?
Yeah, I think there are two kinds of companies in the fronts of ESG. There are companies for whom it is within the fabric or the DNA of who they are. And there are companies for whom it's kind of like a compliance exercise. I'll sign up to these external standards, tick the boxes and move on. I would say we are very much in the former category. Torex was doing ESG before ESG was cool. And we have had to. We are in a complex geopolitical region. We have had communities when we arrived there who were in very impoverished conditions. And so it was absolutely necessary to get a good start to this company, to have constructive, healthy relationships with our host communities. And we have done it in a way that empowers them. I think we learned a long time ago that there is power in giving away power. And so all of our agreements with our communities are very centered around community making decision, or community-centered decision-making. And then beyond communities, the other 2-3 things I think about on ESG is occupational health and safety. I would say we are industry leader on that. In all of 2021, we had 1 lost time injury, effectively operating at a lost time injury frequency of 0. This is 1,000 employees and 2,000 contractors getting home safely to their families every night, which is important to us. Environmentally, at the very outset, Paul, we made intelligent design decisions to mitigate environmental risk. One example, we filter and dry stack our tailings. Why is that important? We operate in a highly seismic region of the world. And so we did not want to be worried and concerned about mitigating risk of tailings dams failures. And so that is an example of a design decision, very small footprint, no water discharge offsite. And the last thing I would say is on governance. I think if you have a good G, that leads to good E and S. Recently on the ISS rating, we were rated as a 1, which is the highest score you can get. We've spent the last 2 years doing a board refresh, really getting crisp about the go-forward Torex strategy, what the skills are we needed to support and provide good governance on that strategy, and refreshed our board accordingly. So I'm quite proud of where we've landed out on ESG, and the plan is continue to just build on that, do more of the same, and as we acquire new assets, bring that thinking to those assets as well.
Thank you, Jody. I'd like to sort of go a bit deeper into the G, if I may. We're at the Metals and Mining event. Obviously, it's the first big major mining event for a couple of years due to COVID-19. It's the first time the industry's really come together, and this is the event where the industry really does come together. But you look around, there's, 1,000 people here. There are some female CFOs, there are some female fund managers, but the mining industry as a whole, you could name the number of female CEOs. You don't even need the fingers on one hand.
Right.
There's yourself, there's IM Gold, there's Perpetua, there's Ira Thomas. To what extent is that lack of diversity potentially holding back the sector?
I think it could be. I think there is plenty of data and statistical-based evidence that companies who are female-led have sort of different styles of leadership and tend to outperform on things like total shareholder return and other financial metrics. There are plenty of studies that support that proposition. And I do think the complexity of running a mining operation has changed over the last 2 decades. It used to be you get your mine, you drill, you blast, you muck, you put it out the door. You don't have to worry about communities and the environment and politics and all of those sorts of things. And so that kind of complexity calls for what I would describe as collaborative leadership. And there are different styles, and I wouldn't say one gender is any better on that than the other, but I do think that the nature of the times we are in calls for a different style of leadership than maybe the old view of command and control from the very top, where you have all of the authority, but not necessarily all of the information.
The sector does tend to attract its fair share of alpha males, and you could argue they're not necessarily the most collaborative people when it comes to talking with governments or communities, or even their own teams.
Yeah, maybe some alpha females too, Paul. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get off of that before I'm completely out of my depth. Very positive time to be in Torex Gold. Where do you want to be at the end of the year? And what will Torex Gold look like in the next 2 to 5 years?
I want to be at the end of the year, the feasibility study out, Media Luna well underway in terms of construction, even building on what we've done. I want to deliver another lights out year on the north side of the river. I expect to pin guidance on production and cost parameters. And I want to have a good scan of the environment to see where the growth opportunities lay as we get Media Luna online. I want to advance exploration. Most importantly, Paul, I want to do it safely. I want to continue with our track record of excellence on occupational health and safety. We believe that we can mine gold and people can do it safely at the end of the day.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing the feasibility study as and when that comes out. Thank you very much for joining us today. Jody Kuzenko, President and CEO of Torex Gold.
Thank you for having me, Paul. It's been a pleasure.
And stay tuned for more from Kitco News at the BMO Metals and Mining Conference.
Kitco News special coverage of the 31st Global Metals and Mining Conference is brought to you by Gold Terra,